a very different point. According to the standard cosmology, the universe began from a hot, dense state that we call Big Bang. The first 100 million years were dark and quiet. There was no light as we see them, a never-ending sea of atomic hydrogen, patiently waiting to emerge, for the structural complexity to emerge. And then something extraordinary happened. The first lights, after 100 million years of darkness, the first stars got ignited. The light came through. A time in cosmic history known as cosmic dawn. And in the next several billion years, these lights, these first sources of first stars, changed everything in the universe, transformed everything, and built it to how we see it today. But how do we know any of this? Because we have built radio telescopes. If you keep a radio telescope under the sky, it captures the whispers of the universe, a background radiation. On this background radiation, the dark ages, the cosmic dawn, and the reionization have left their imprints. If we can detect them, we could know what happened when there was no light and we had no information from. So astronomers, cosmologists around the world are building ever so precise telescopes to detect and decode these signals. We currently have over $4 billion invested in building radio telescopes. I have myself built some of the most precision telescopes in 5 different countries for over a period of 14 years, developed some of the most deepest technology to know what this infant universe is telling us. But then, my universe changed. I became a mother in 2019. 24 weeks into my pregnancy, I gave birth to my first child, a beautiful 600-gram baby, with every promise to become a brilliant human being, but with no ability to live on her own, placed on the life support with the hope that she makes it. She did. And I have spent, 106 sleepless nights in the neonatal ICU in a universe that I never knew even existed. Over 100 unfinished lives, struggling to survive. I have seen clinicians and nurses fighting tooth and nail for these babies, but for all their skills and dedication, they weren't equipped with the technologies that could help them. Which means while we can decode and detect and decode signals from 13 billion years ago, we cannot precisely interpret signal from a fetal body to deliver the required care. Rest of my maternity leave, I spent very uncomfortable thinking where to go from there, and then I founded Pretect Devices. At Pretect, we are developing a continuous monitoring system to prevent IV injury in neonatal care. IV therapy is the cornerstone of neonatal care. Babies get their medication and nutrition both through IV for weeks, for days, weeks, and months. It takes about over 10 attempts and about an hour to even secure an IV therapy. But due to their prematurity, sometimes their veins disintegrate and IV fluid leaks outside, resulting in something like this, an internal chemical burn. This is one of the highest grade injuries. It can range from pain and blistering to something like this, and mainly to amputation. And worldwide, 10 million babies are cared for in NICU every year. All of them receive IV. 7 out of 10 IVs leak, running the risk of this heinous injury. And current standard of care relies on periodic visual inspection and tactile checks, taking about 0.4 of an FTE per IV line per day. To put it in context, we have 30,000 FTE shortage in neonatal nursing in Australia by 2030, as projected by Australian government. Visual checks are also susceptible to human error. So over 50% of the IVs are recited preemptively, even without confirmatory detection of an IV leakage, compounding the IV insertion problem. And despite all preemptive measures, 4 to 6% of neonates gets this. Every time an IV fails or a vein disintegrates, human body generates a glitch, a signature, a fingerprint, just like cosmic dawn, dark age, and reionization. This is buried under several other information delivered out by the body. Fortunately, a decade and a half training in cosmology enabled me to solve this problem 1,000 times over. At Pretect, we are developing Vedette, a device that can monitor an IV site in real time over 100,000 times, can detect an IV leakage as small as a mustard seed size, and alert the carer to stop or interrupt the IV therapy. Confirmatory detection eliminates all preemptive reciting, reduces the dosing error, delay in time-critical medication delivery, and most importantly, prevent extravasation injury. 30% of neonatal mortality results from infection or sepsis that comes from IV line. Our device, recently we have serendipitously discovered that our device can give an alert for an oncoming sepsis way before the clinical signs shows up. So, with an optionable market size over $1 billion, we so far have 100% response from all three of our target markets in Australia, UK, and the US, where hospitals and clinicians just walked in to sign in MOUs with us to co-develop Vedette to critically fit in their neonatal care protocol. This year, we made to the top 20 out of 580 companies in the world's largest medical accelerator, despite being one of the very early stage companies called MedTech Innovator. And with an incredible support from WA government and our partner institute, like Fiona Wood Foundation, we have been able to develop a hospital-ready system and currently walking into the first clinical study in partnership with 3 neonatal ICUs in the WA. What began for me as a search of the first word from the infant universe took shape for me to protect the tiniest and the most vulnerable patient population. And we can turn this silence of preventable trauma to sound of thriving lives. And this is what deep tech is for me. It is not something that only connects us to the most distant past, also help us determine how our futures would live. So, if you're here, if you want to join us with your skill, advisory, knowledge, experience, clinical insights, or investment, please come and talk with us in our stall. I'm Dr. Nipanjana Patra, founder and CEO of Pretect Devices. Thank you.